Thank you for tuning in to the show. I have a special guest on today, a client and that I've loved working with, named Kevin Meldrum. He's the Senior Regional Marketing Manager at MNP, and we've worked with him for a few years now. And had some really, really cool projects, a lot of successes. Kevin is one of those people who makes marketing feel easy to talk about. Just before we started rolling, we probably had half a podcast we could have gotten there. He's the senior regional manager at MNP, and so he's in charge of is it the Saskatchewan, Manitoba region, or just Saskatchewan?
Just Saskatchewan.
Okay, just Saskatchewan.
For these
Okay.
purposes, yeah.
And MNP is a national company specializing in professional accounting, but also really new products like ag AI, farmer-based.
A whole other world on top of just the accounting and tax, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so really, really cool. So we've got to be part of some of those projects with your team. Kevin understands that marketing for MNP isn't about hype. It's about people, trust, and relationships. Before MNP, he spent almost a decade at the Chamber of Commerce, which I creeped your LinkedIn to find that out, and I didn't know, which is pretty cool. So you know Saskatoon business probably inside out. You have probably a breadth of that history, which is I think part of your wisdom, and I think you're a pretty grounded person. So you don't overcomplicate things, and I don't know. I'm excited to chat with you today. I'm going to jump into it. These are the easy questions. Are you a morning person or night owl?
Night owl. But, I've got kids, so I have to get up early. But I would say most of my productivity is afternoon, evenings based. So.
Do you work in the evening much? Do you bring home your work much?
I don't, but I would say do you ever have like a flash of brilliance there in the middle of the night and you wake up and you have to like write it down? That would be a normal occurrence for me.
I have thousands of notes on my phone, on my Apple Notes app.
I literally will email myself a message at 3 a.m, like, hey, look into this, or here's a great idea for myself for morning me to look at it the next day.
I love it.
Yeah,
I do often do that. Do you like brewed coffee or something fancy?
I do the brewed coffee. I grind it myself in the mornings. I try to keep it a little bit elevated.
Kevin's a dad, just for those listening.
Yeah.
So you're owning the role.
Coffee is vital. I don't know if you ever worked somewhere where the office had really bad coffee and just how.
I'm not picky.
Not picky? No.
This is MNP coffee, just regular coffee.
It'd be like a Keurig type situation, but there's people who brought in their own setups, we'll just say.
Oh yeah. Any espresso machines in the office?
Nespressos perhaps, but none in our office. No, but no, good coffee is vital.
Are you a digital planner or a paper guy? Do you always have a notebook?
That's a really funny question. So as much as I try to do things digitally as much as I can and try to take advantage of the tools that exist, I always end up going back to a big notebook or a bunch of paper. And like, if you see my desk, I've got notepads and different papers here and there. And to me, they're all like, there's a spot for that one there because I know that that's where that note's going to go. But I'm sure that some of my colleagues walk by and like, wow, like how does he understand anything? There's a method to the madness.
Looks like Russell Crowe from Brilliant or Beautiful Mind
exactly,
or whatever.
Yeah. So I do end up
or the Charlie Day scene from with the
Yeah, that is me on a regular basis. Yeah.
Music, podcast, or silence while working? Do you have something in your ears?
It's oddly enough, it would be silence. But I will just chat with my colleagues all the time, just like yelling across the room, like, hey, what do you think of this? I've got this idea here. What if we did it like this? I'm just constantly like talking about my thought process. So I feel like if there's somebody else talking to me or if I'm listening to somebody else, I can't really hear my own thoughts, I guess, at the same time. So it's like I'm conversing with myself or a colleague at all times about what my thought process is.
So do you batch tasks or you kind of jump around?
I jump around. I am this is terrible advice. Like, don't do what I do. Is not these aren't things I would suggest people do. But I have a list of things I have to do, and I jump around a lot because I think like, oh, I'll do this one for a bit. I'll jump onto this one here. Head back to that first one. Did I finish that second one? So that's why having things written down in a long list versus having them digitally, I feel like it's not visible. Like you can close the digital app that you're using to track your tasks, but that piece of paper just sits there on your desk all the time. So
I have little post-its on my desk.
mm-hmm.
So my daughter bought me this huge, I think I don't know what it's for, like a sketchbook, but it's like huge. It's on my desk. It's almost like a blotter pad for my desk. And it's funny because I like sometimes I have to move my keyboard because I have notes there, but I find like I know where my working list is or my post-it is. And I find, the digital app just doesn't work for me because it's out of sight.
Exactly.
And like if it's really important work for the day, it's like it's on a post-it and I just like right on the bottom of my screen. And
it's easy to ignore that digital one, so I need something I can't ignore.
Last one, if you could delegate one task from your current role at work, like let's say work's like, you know what, here's a budget to get you some help. What would that task be that you would offload from you?
Oh my gosh. I mean, the paperwork is probably the most difficult part, I think, for someone in a role that's highly creative based, is going and tracking things in spreadsheets, or tracking them in other formats like
you don't
data
find it
entry.
Very creative?
It's oddly not that creative and not that stimulating. So yeah, those are the tasks that, does it have to get done? Yes. Are the people who want to see that data? Yes. Is it fun to do? Absolutely not. So
I found the last year, specifically like 2025, the admin side of my job seems to have just crept up. Like it's because it's important, but it's like, man, it just sucks my soul.
Yeah.
And it's like, it makes me not want to come to work. And then like a day like today where we have podcasts, so we try to record a bunch at a time because it takes us a lot of time to set up. The days I have podcasts, I'm like super excited. I come in, get my coffee, I go over my show notes one more time before my guest comes in, and those are fun. Or if I'm on a big shoot day. But then also like this week I've shot every day until today, and then now I'm recording these, so it's like my emails are stacking up and
bills to pay.
Well, yeah, and apparently if you want money, you got to send out invoices. So that's actually like probably thousands of dollars I have sitting in finished work that's delivered. That's not even invoiced.
That's where AI needs to step in now. Is just you say, hey, send out all my invoices for the work this month.
Yeah,
one thing and done.
Yeah, like
that's where we need to be.
I have every job in my calendar because it's scheduled with a scheduler. Actually, that's one of my favorite apps I ever got and started using was a scheduling software, because it was like people would be like, when are you available? It's like, well, like to communicate all my availability isn't really what they want. They want to see certain, like, you just need to line it up. And I feel like the future is like two calendars can talk to each other and find the spot.
Yeah.
Without having to go to what's that polling app?
You know what
I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly.
People, it's like not Duolingo, but something. Doodle or something. I don't know.
Yeah, a doodle poll. Yeah.
Doodle poll. Yeah. It's like, when does this work for everybody to meet?
Yeah. But I don't see those as much anymore now that Microsoft Copilot has come along. And
yeah, Teams I think is amazing. The one thing I don't love is that our scheduler doesn't work with Teams super well. But you know what actually app I find really good? Any like therapy office, like we have a Summit across the hallway.
Yeah.
And they have Jane app as their back end.
Oh yeah.
And the Jane app sends out subscription calendars that you can like subscribe to for your account. So anytime you book an appointment with him, it just shows up in your calendar
Mm-hmm.
with all the info. Oh, like, man, I love it.
Are your kids in sports? Like, are you on
Yeah, it's a
Team
Team
Linked?
Link. I like that one. That one has the subscription too.
Yeah, that's a lifesaver because I would not be able to track all these things
Yeah.
and the changes and the communication for sports teams all the time. So,
I feel overwhelmed because like your kids are in school, right?
mm-hmm.
And so like you're probably on Edsby as well.
Oh, and Edsby.
Like
Edsby needs an overhaul, I'd say.
yeah, Edsby's not my favorite.
It's no one's favorite.
I told Kevin at the start of the episode we don't throw people under the bus, but I'm gonna say that the City of Saskatoon parking app is my like. I mean, not that parking apps are super great in general, but the city one, I'm just like I hate it. It's like it starts you off at 12 minutes, and it's like I just want like an hour or 30 minutes, like, but they bill in 12-minute increments, and I'm like, it's so inconvenient. Anyway, they updated it. It's getting better. Anyway, they should. You know who they should hire? Zoo to make a proper parking app. Zoo already made their website. Zoo could probably make a parking app.
Yeah, you just one click. Do I want 15?
Pay from your
10.
phone.
Yeah.
Use Apple Pay.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Everything that uses Apple Pay now. I feel spoiled. Anyway,
we're so off topic right now.
We're so off topic. Well, these are the kind of conversations I want to have. I almost want to throw out my questions here because before we started recording, we were talking about sort of how complicated marketing is, and you were sharing a little bit of your role back in the day.
Yeah.
At the chamber, which
I'll give you maybe even like a history of like career because I think it's interesting maybe for people because I don't have everything on my LinkedIn because it kind of ends up people will send you messages and kind of refer to things on your old jobs I found just to get an in for a sales pitch I found. So I trimmed it off not too long ago just to kind of the more recent things. But yeah, at university, worked for consumer packaged goods company, you know, confectionery and chocolate, candy, that sort of thing. And I tell the new people on our team or the kind of the young people coming out of university what it was like, and that wasn't that long ago. Like the internet existed, and the way we operated, we didn't really have corporate emails. We didn't have any way to communicate really back and forth to each other or to our head office. And aside from like voicemail, and we would get a FedEx once a week of all of the emails that would have been circulated in sort of the Mississauga head office. We get a stack like this of all the email we should have been getting, if that makes sense. So if we had email, we would have been getting it by email. We got a stack of paper and you have to filter through this and flip through it once a week to see what was in there. And some of it would no longer be timely anymore. Like, oh, that was an order that should have been submitted last week, but I didn't get the message until today. So like,
it sounds worse than faxing.
It was.
You're telling me they would like courier?
Yeah, we'd get a courier of email, which makes zero sense. And
also known as mail.
Yeah, it was worse than mail. So I tell people this, like, this is sort of the environment that we started in, and we would fax orders in and that sort of thing. But it was an interesting experience because it was a lot of boots on the ground, like working with gas stations, Walmart, you know, merchandising on the shelves. And that was real, like, it was B2B where you're dealing with the business, but you're in a real consumer heavy product, which is confectionery. So I learned a lot in that role, just observing, you know, okay, we do these product launches and they look like this, and we're asked to merchandise it like that. And here's sort of the selling features, or why are we doing it this way? So that was a real interesting time. But yeah, it was also technologically, it was at this point where things were shifting. You know, there's sort of there was an old way of, we just call it old school sales, you know, where a lot of the people were retiring and that they were real relationship based people. And a lot of their clients were long term, a lot of their vendors were long term, and it was all based on like, hey, I'll call up so and so, he's going to order a whole pallet of this. And that was how sales were done. And then that was that transition point where things were moving into a little bit more well, you got to sell on the value and sell on the brand, and here's the benefits. And price sensitivity was becoming a concern. Prices were starting to rise. So a whole other market shifted and a whole other kind of generation of people came in around that time. And so shortly after that, I started working with the local Chamber of Commerce here, Saskatoon Chamber of Commerce, in sort of that marketing and communications role, which, as we were discussing earlier, was this catch-all, duties as assigned, try to make it happen.
And you're a marketing commerce grad from
Right,
U of S,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, U of S, marketing major. Kind of got into, I didn't really know I wanted to be in marketing at the time when I went into university. I thought maybe I'd be in finance, is kind of what I thought I would do. Turned out that wasn't really my forte. I liked it, but I wasn't that good at it. But I found that marketing, I was like, oh, I don't really have to think that much about it. It's sort of like this intuition about what you need to do. And I sound like I'm downplaying the industry, but it just kind of more clicked with how my brain operated than some of the other fields you can go into. And accounting certainly wasn't one of them, which is an interesting.
It's funny you work with an accounting firm now.
Yeah, an accountant in my family too. My dad was one. Yeah, so got into a role where it was you're a team of one. And
This is at the chamber.
Yeah, exactly. The first thing I got called upon to do was, hey, we have this magazine we put out. Can you do this magazine? It's got to go to the publishers in 3 weeks, kind of thing. Here's the list of people who are advertising it this month. Make sure you get some content in there. And this is maybe a 24-page, 36-page publication, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was up all night watching videos on how to use Adobe InDesign and how to do a layout.
I was going to ask because I know Quark was another publishing software. I don't know I don't think it exists anymore. Maybe it does.
It might not. I think they had used that prior, actually. But
so you had to learn InDesign.
It's a huge learning curve. Yeah.
You're telling me they don't teach this at the U of S?
They don't teach that kind of thing in university, at least to my knowledge.
Maybe now.
Maybe now. But it was an interesting experience because it was like trial by fire, and I felt like marketing was a great outlet for some of my skills, and writing was one of them. I felt, when I'd have a project that's due in 2 weeks, I found that like crushing it out the night before, I'd almost have better results and get a better product than spending a lot more time on it.
Are you a procrastinator by nature? Like,
yes.
I'm a heavy procrastinator.
Oh, yeah. The stress of having the deadline is motivating. So yeah, I would put things off to have that motivating factor. But excuse me.
Side note, do you operate like that today?
I try not to. I try to set a good example, but I've learned my ways. But yeah, the tight deadline and the pressure was very motivating to try to learn all these things. But luckily, writing it was a skill I already had. So editing content was something I think I just do it like this. And the layout, well, I've read a magazine. I kind of know what this should look like.
I know words.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you look back, I still have them. I kept a lot of copies, the hard copies. And I look back and like, oh, bad. But, I've figured it out, basically. And I think that is a lot of sometimes the role of the marketing person is you kind of come out of school with a mindset, but not a lot of hard skills. And then you kind of learn them on the job. And you were telling me the story of the job posting you saw, which had, you must have hard skills in these dozen different areas.
Photography, video, writing. If you go into Indeed right now and look at job postings, it's like usually it's like in a social media manager role, but then it's not. That's like a side table part of it.
Yeah.
But like now that we've been doing it, we do it for ourselves, like our own marketing, and do it for others as a service now. And it's like, and it's still not like, it's never easy. It's like definitely, it's oversimplified. and like, yeah, like that particular posting I was mentioning to you was like, yeah, writing, web
Yeah.
updates, blogging, video, interviewing, photography, and then I can't remember all the other ones. I took a screenshot because I was like, oh my goodness, like I don't know if like I've been doing this like 18 years now, and I have the entrepreneur background like now that running my own company, and like the skills I have, I'm like, I look at a posting like that, I'm like, I could probably do a good job at that, but like I'm like almost 40 years old now, and like I have lived in that world, and it's like, man,
Mm-hmm.
a young person coming into it, and it is a temporary part-time role. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you're probably not going to get a person with a family and a mortgage like offering a position like that. Maybe you
Right.
would. I don't
Well,
know.
I don't see them as much anymore, but you used to see the job posting for uh, social media marketing manager slash front desk reception slash accounts payable. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
here's some office tasks. Plus, we're going to tack on a specialized marketing role
Yeah.
to their job.
Do you think people are starting to see it as like the energy it actually requires? Like,
I think now they are. I think in early days, you could get away with it because there was always this perception that, well, if you're a young person, you're just naturally going to be good at social media. And that's all a business really needs, is to have someone who can make content look good. There was no strategy behind it. The algorithms operated much differently. The paid aspect of it operated much differently. And now that's so much more complicated, and it changes on a regular basis. And if you're not constantly keeping up with it, it's really easy to lose that knowledge and those skills. They become outdated really, really quickly. So if you aren't constantly staying up to date, you're already behind. But then to have that with 10 other types of specialized skills really becomes an impossible task. So I think that's where I said marketing can sometimes have a marketing problem, is because people perceive that, oh, it's just a little bit of everything and that's good enough. But there's less emphasis on the strategy and why are we doing this? Well, which tactics kind of make the most sense here? Do we need to pair some of these off because they're not going to move the needle for us? So
how simple, like speaking of that, like you go look at an ad agency like LMNO or our friends down the street, they just changed their name. They were Chess Club. I can't remember the new one. If anyone hears this, you can remind me. I'm not going to look at my phone
we'll
right
edit
now.
that after. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like they have teams of like 30, 40 people. And it's like you have someone literally who does ad purchasing for like billboards, and like that's a job.
Mm-hmm.
So like people are like, and they still exist. Obviously they have value to the market. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and these organizations that work with them need that expertise. So, and then you go to other places and it's just like, they think they can like simplify it, and maybe, yeah. So maybe speak to that marketing problem. Like how simple is too simple. And I mean, and I also get, as an entrepreneur, you got to work with what you got.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you just don't have budgets. Like, I mean, we're a small company and we do most of it ourselves. Luckily, we have some hard skills that favor it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're in a favorable position when it comes to that. And I might ask you as well how you find you acquire new clients. What actually works for you as a small business owner and an entrepreneur, because what works for you is going to be very different from, in my industry right now. It's much larger and a completely different type of service, but there's some parallels and there's going to be some things that are completely different.
I have a hunch that the main things that work or have always worked. I actually had a conversation with Jason Abig yesterday. We interviewed him for a project.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
He's the CEO of the Saskatoon Chamber right now. And and he worked with Creative Fire. Like, he came from the ad world.
Exactly.
But he asked me almost a similar question. And two things. I'll get into the answer right away. But I think one thing people tend to do is they take credit where they shouldn't. Like, they might not be, Like you do an ad campaign and you get good sales. Like you can't fully credit a LinkedIn post necessarily, or a brand video, or like even the stuff we've done with you. We did that one recruiting video, and it's
Yeah.
like it was part of it, but it was not the magic sauce. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
just a part of it. And so I don't like to take too much credit, or I don't want to lean on it too much. Like I don't want to be like absolute, like this is the magic. But if I were to say anything that really works for us is building real relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that that's probably a parallel to like the success of any organization, including MNP, like the relationships your team has with like their clients, like farmers, going in the car and going out to the farmer field, um, to do a project, or
100%.
your client coming in, and you guys always have those chocolates and your coffee pop bar at the entrance. It's like, it's a good thing, but like, who am I thinking of? Byron.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting his last name, the hockey player. I see him once in a while because
Byron Bits.
He goes in front of me at the Tim's drive-through in our neighborhood. Sometimes I see him, but like you see a guy like that come out, shake your hand. You see him, even his story, he's a charismatic guy. And so to have a relationship with him means so much. And so once you get to that stage, I think that's like the magic. And then obviously the work has to be good, right? Like if Byron's doing a great job for them, checks all the boxes, that's always a great final part of it. Like marketing's everything before you do the work. And then if you do a good job, then that's important, probably more important. But yeah, so for us, it's like when I go see a customer, like even this podcast, like I'm having you in the studio, we got to connect again. Like those are the relationships I think that have really favored us. And then our strategy overall, I would say, is like do things that help make those connections stay alive, So whether it's, if we make a post on LinkedIn, share a little story about what's going on in the studio. Great. Now, when I see that person the next time, like the amount of times it's happened where I go to like a chamber event, or even just on a job, I get to see a lot of my clients just like in the world at other places, which is fun. But then they're like, oh, I saw that video you made. That was pretty funny, or whatever. I had a funny video about, what was it about? It was about retention. A lot of people are like, how long, people don't have good attention spans. They want, so it's got to be the short to the point video. And I'm like, so the reel I made was like, who here likes sex? I know I do. And it was kind of cheeky, but fun. But it was like, if you're giving people what they like, they actually, the length of time is arbitrary.
100%
Like if it speaks to them.
Yeah.
I saw an ad on Facebook once actually, and I ended up working with this organization for 2 years out of Calgary. And it was an ad they made from a 17-minute video, and I watched the whole thing. And the video started with the question, something like, your values are who you are. And it went into like something like knowing yourself, like knowing what you want in life is part of like, getting it. And I was, and I watched this whole thing because at the time I was like maybe midlife crisising. This was 2018. I remember I was in my bed actually watching this video, and I was like, that's me. And so I watched the whole thing because it was speaking to me, and it was speaking to my needs and what I thought was maybe missing or broken in my life. Anyway, but then that 17-minute video really gave me an insight into this company and the founder of it. His name was Alex. And so I don't know. I went totally off the rails there, but you're asking what in my business has brought clients.
What you talked a little bit about the trust, and building a relationship with someone so that they trust you.
Yeah,
right?
Which I think, like if I go through my client list, especially on the corporate side, so we do some, like we do wedding photography, and that one's weird because it's like, hopefully they're one-time buyers, right? Like if all goes well, right? I've never shot someone's second wedding, but on the business side, it's like people come to our studio, and sometimes they go somewhere else for a thing or two, and then sometimes they come back. We've had lots of that, but it's like once someone's in our world, then it's like the nurturing of the relationship matters. And if I go through my client list, most of our clients are like I would call it the snowball effect, or slow and steady, is like just keeping people on board, keeping them engaged, making sure we're trying to provide value beyond what people are asking. And I would say that I could give the most credit to, where we keep clients, and then getting new clients is like relationships.
Yeah.
Like, actually, even the job we did yesterday, I signed an NDA for it, so I can't go into too much detail, but I could share about it down the road. Maybe by the time this is published, I could share about it, but I'm not going to take any risks. But we met some of the people in the organization by sponsoring a Fuse conference, if you've heard of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we were filming, and it turns out the person we were working for, his spouse, we just did a big project for them earlier this year. And he's like, oh, that video was why we hired you for this. And so he just told us straight up, like, he worked with my wife. That was great. I got to see that, because his wife showed him. And then, yeah, that got us the job. So like the referral, like I'm not saying the work was it, but the referral is what
I was hoping you were going to say that, actually, because let's I want to talk about maybe how we came to be in a business relationship.
Like you and I.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because actually, I don't, it's a while ago.
Yeah. I don't know if we ever really talked
why do you
about
hire
that.
us?
So, well, we'd worked with other videographers and photographers in the past, and in a corporate environment like ours, people get headshots on a regular basis, and we were dealing with one photographer, well known. We won't name names, but I think they're retired now. But anyways, long term, I mean, they would have had a strong reputation as being a solid provider of photography. But what we were finding was it was just taking a really long time for anything to come back. We'd send people over to get a photo, and the proof would take a really long time. And there was a very high, maybe almost 40-50% rate of people just saying, I hate this headshot. Yeah. I look terrible. The lighting's bad. My shirt was untucked. No one said anything. My hair was messed up. And I was sending people back regularly for retakes. And I said, and then we would get, charged for the retake, right? And
side note, what's an accountant's billable time?
Well, it can range from like a couple hundred to,
Would it
500.
be similar to lawyers?
Yeah,
rates?
I guess so.
Okay.
It depends on their specialty.
So now they're out of the office again for like an hour.
And it's and more so than that, I in my role, I'm supposed to be advising them on something like, here, got a great photographer here, and I really wasn't confident in that anymore. So I said, we kind of need a new photographer. Like, it's we had this long relationship, but it's not going so well. So we had a relationship built on trust, and the trust was waning, right? And you and I had connected, I think, for the first time at a dinner, like a fundraiser dinner. I think it was for
Is that with Andy?
Yeah, through a mutual friend. We were both invited to join his table, which I think was for a Children's Hospital fundraiser or NICU fundraiser.
NICU,
yeah. So I don't think we had met before that. We may have, but we had some mutual contacts. But I'd remember that, and I said, well, I wonder what Matt's up to. I wonder what his portfolio is like. I hadn't really looked into it before, but just kind of meeting you and chatting with you, I was like, well, let's take a look. And I said, this might be a little bit more what we're looking for, because accountants and people kind of getting into that career, there's a lot of young people. Like, we have a large pool of younger people, and you can kind of see the difference when you have photography of a certain generation versus, do you know the style of an older photographer? You can tell the generation.
The gray background.
Right. Yeah. The lighting is a little bit different.
It's always the hair light.
The hair light. Yeah.
I don't use a hair light because I think it looks old fashioned. Video, you use hair lights quite a bit. It just like looks good in video, but I find for photo style, I don't like hair lights.
You can tell. And so we had a lot of people saying, like, it's just making me look a lot older than I really want to look. So and looking at your portfolio, so well, I think this seems to be really on the vibe that we're getting at here, and chatting with you. I was like, I think Matt kind of gets what we need here, easy to work with. And so we did some headshots. I think once we got them back, people actually said that was the best headshot I've ever had. I really liked working with Matt because a lot of people, believe it or not, in the accounting industry are introverted. They don't love getting their photo taken. They don't love being on parade. They don't love to feel like people are watching them, and they hate it. So
You're really swelling my ego right
right,
now.
right. No worries there. But
The podcast is just a secret way to get client testimonials. No, just kidding.
it's all about your ego. I get it. I get it. But I don't think I really have had anyone go back for a retake where they said, I look ridiculous in this picture. I need a new one. And so, we had a foundation of trust built up. And then we needed, we'd had some other video work before for other projects. And I was never really happy with the process. I found that I had a vision and I could never really convey that vision very well to someone to understand what it should look like. Because I kind of knew instinctively, well, I wanted to look like this, but I'm not in the industry. I don't know how to convey that to you, the expert, on, shoot it like this, make the lighting like this, go from this angle here. That I don't really know. I just kind of know what I like, and I know what looks good or what doesn't look good. And sometimes that's probably the worst way to go about it, but I just kind of instinctively know what I want it to look like or not.
Well, okay. I'm going to interrupt you a little bit. That's actually pretty common. And like, as far as like a human behavior thing, people, like even the way I had a conversation just the other day about this. The way we film our corporate work is the same sort of way you would film a movie.
Mm-hmm.
And people, there's things like frame rates, the way you light people, and people don't need to know that you do those frame rates. People don't need to know that lighting. Actually, this was yesterday at the project I filmed. And but you know what it looks like. Your brain knows what it looks like. So when you see it, you know.
Yeah.
And that's like, and then as like a provider of any professional service, whether it's content creation like what we do, or like even accounting, like the professional should be able to, in my opinion, their job is to figure out what the person really wants and then make it happen.
Exactly. So there's parallels here between what you just said, the industry I'm working in, the industry you're working in. You're the expert. You're there not to just say, well, we can shoot the video. It's going to be at this frame rate. It's going to be,
or even worse. What frame rate do you
what
like?
frame rate do you want?
Yeah.
No, like what does that even mean, right? What kind of lighting do you need? I don't know. Even sometimes it's like, what's your budget? Like I don't sometimes know, because I don't know what's the industry budget. Like what is the going rate for this service? If I have no
I never
frame of
actually
reference,
ask budgets, like almost ever.
You're probably smart not to, I think, because you can probably tell them, well, if you want this result, here's what you'll spend.
Yeah.
And I think most people don't go in. If someone came to you and said, I've got a $300 budget for this project, you're probably already not going to get into a conversation with them.
I would still have it, like, just like if they don't know, like especially if they're just
true,
because like again, they shouldn't, like it's not their job to know.
Mm-hmm.
Like heck, like if someone, like actually the amount of times I get an email, it's like, we need a video. I'm like,
yeah.
Like I roll my eyes as I'm talking to you about it, because I see that and I'm like, I get it, but then I'm like, put my smile on and I'm like, hey, we're good. We make videos.
Yeah.
That's probably why they're here, right?
That, yeah.
And that's just part of the journey for them, right? Like they want it, and then you got to figure out the layers, like why do you want this? I actually made a LinkedIn post about this the other day. I don't know if I even posted it. I just started writing it. But it was like, why do you want it? What's the goal? Like, because part of one of my things in like discovery calls is like, do you need a video? I feel like that's more authentic for me to start there, because like, prove to me you actually want this thing and why it would be a good thing. Because if I just did the thing, even if they, like some people in sales think they just got to get the sale. But it's like if I convince you to spend money and it's like maybe a bad fit, it'll it'll tarnish our relationship because you'll get something that didn't do what you thought it would. So it's part of my job to educate. Okay, well, like what, why, get down the layers,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then work back from there. Okay, this is your problem you're trying to solve. A video like this could be part of that, but you're gonna need a few more pieces to make this work.
Yeah.
And throw in some recommends. It's a lot of strategy, but yeah.
That's exactly it. Like I was, like my previous experience was, well, we'll give you exactly what you ask for, but I'm also doing a lot of that work where I'm asking specifics, but I'm not the expert either on like why or how or what we should do here. I just know I have a problem and I need it solved, and this is one tool to solve it is this video. And give me some advice here. And in the, like I said previously, it was like, well, we'll give you exactly what you ask for, but the advice part was missing. And so we'd get the result, or the final product rather, but it was missing something always, you know, like we're not quite there. And I really don't have an answer as to why, because I'm not the expert in the process. I just know the end result is not hitting the mark. So when we came in to discuss a video project, which it's been a few years now, so it's not anything we can't talk about, but you know, our marketing problem was kind of different for me and actually my role, where we were seeing recruiting being one of the main challenges for the industry. The industry has a bit of the accounting industry has a bit of a recruiting challenge right now, where fewer people are getting into the industry versus when I was in school, it was probably one of the more, it was probably the most popular business major. Yeah.
Okay.
That's on the decline. So the industry has a little bit of a branding issue too when it comes to, you know, the career of public accounting. But that's maybe an aside to this discussion. But we also there's a because of that there's a lot of jobs right now, and there's only so many people to fill those jobs, especially at the entry level. So we're in a highly competitive market for talent. And we were seeing that we had a story to tell about why work for us, what's the career path, what our values are that might align with yours as a student or someone coming out of school. But we weren't doing a very good job of telling it in the venues that we had available to us to speak to people. They were somewhat limited. We didn't really always have the time to get into it. In some of the recruiting events that universities would put on. And, you know, there's only so much you can get across to people in a short period of time. So we came to the idea of, well, having a bunch of short form video where we can convey that message and it has some longevity, we can actually...
Yeah, like you said, you've used it 3 seasons of recruiting,
right?
Right.
Yeah. And you mentioned this earlier. It wasn't the only reason we saw success in recruiting over those years, but that first year we did the video, we had one of our most successful years in terms of recruiting ever. And it wasn't solely because of the video, but it was how we utilized that video. We used bits and pieces of it to connect with people, both in-person events. You know, it might be a primer to a networking with
like
students.
a captive audience.
Exactly.
You're putting it on the TV.
Let's tell that story here in a bit of a longer format. Let's use content from our managing partner and let's have him post something here. And we used people in the video that were relatable to the people applying for jobs too. And they were the ones that were active in the recruiting in this local market. So there was a lot of like nice tie-ins where, oh, I can go talk to that person. Oh, there's a story from them on this video. I connected with their message. And
well, I think I remember you telling me, we kind of debriefed during one of our visits, but you're saying it led to a conversation on LinkedIn with, I think it was with, I don't want to drop names, but anyway, it was like with one of the people in the video. Someone saw the video and then commented, and that comment turned into a DM. And then I think, if I remember it right, it turned into one of the people that
Oh yeah. Yeah.
connected.
I think that happened probably several times, to be honest. So
Okay.
yeah. eh,
Again, kind of like that story where I post a reel, I see someone in person, they bring it
right.
up, and then all of a sudden now you have a conversation. Plus, I've
Yeah. Like, Matt, I really love that video you posted the other day. It really resonated with me. Like, can we talk about that? Like, I got an idea here. You're speaking to a problem I'm having in my business right now. I think some content, some video content might be the answer here, but maybe you can talk to me about it. So that's the kind of thing that's going to give you some value, give them some value. And really, it's your little poster up here in your waiting room there. It says, "We tell your stories," is interesting to me because that's exactly what we wanted to do. Is we wanted to tell a story from a recruitment perspective that resonated with people. And a story is much more engaging than just what's the salary, what's the coffee like,
job
how many days
description.
off do I get, what kind of a laptop do you provide? Those are great, but most people aren't really asking those types of questions as much as they're wondering, like, who would I work with? What's it like to work there? And what's the feeling of being in that environment? And that's what we were trying to convey in the video. Like, what's the feeling of coming into that office every day? Because you don't get a chance to really work in each place as a little bit of a trial to see which one fits best. You really, as the person being recruited or the student, you have to make that decision based on what is available to you for knowledge. So we're trying to give them as much knowledge as we can about if this is a
Yeah,
fit for you.
probably a lot of these people haven't had jobs,
Correct. Actually, that's
let alone like maybe they have, but it would be probably a part-time
yeah,
gig or something. But
exactly. So I never had that experience of being recruited. So I can't speak to that.
you know what though, your project, that recruiting film, if we want to give it a label, like we've done a lot of employer content. Like we actually just booked a job for this Friday, like for a client that they want like they want to be known. Like recruiting's a thing. We've worked with SAS Docs, which is the recruiters for
Mm,
doctors in
yeah.
Saskatchewan. Same problem. Like they're recruiting, like doctors are like, I feel like every profession has limitations and in talent.
Yeah.
Men mainly from, and maybe this is true for you, you could speak to it, but newer employees, like younger employees, want work-life balances more than anyone before them.
Mm-hmm.
Like the doctors, for example, like the older guys, like or women, they'll work. Like that's just part of how they have built their career. And the younger physicians are coming in. Oh, they want to keep their marriages together. They want to raise their kids. Like, so they'll work. Like these older doctors are, to replace them is like, you need two physicians to replace them.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the demand of, like, obviously we're a hugely explosive population with immigration, bringing tons of new people to
Yeah.
Canada. And so, yeah, those two things are stressing so many industries. And so I don't know, maybe that is true in accounting.
It's probably part of that puzzle as well. Yeah.
Well, and even actually two of the stories we told was like one of your people we interviewed they were an entrepreneur. They had their own business. And then I think that was part of the story you wanted to tell, was like, you can be an all-in partner, make this, huge part of your life. And then this can also be something where it's
part of your life.
It's like
yeah.
the 8 to 5 and it's not fully, I don't want to say it like consuming, but like a lot of accountants I know work when tax season comes, that they're putting in the hours, and then when it's summertime, they it's more flex, like they flex it that way, like they work at the lake or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that was a main part of that message, is that no matter where you see your career or how you see that career progressing,
It starts here.
Oh yeah, see, you tied it all back in. So I mean, yeah, like I loved working on that with you guys because I came in with an idea of like, here's the problem. We want to tell this story. We're not very good at telling this story in the channels we are currently using. What do you see here? Like, what would you do? And you kind of brought some of the vision to life of like, I think it should look like this, and here's how I would shoot it, and it should look like this at the end. And I didn't I didn't come to you with like, oh, it has to be this way. I really wanted to come in with like, tell me as an expert, if to achieve this goal, how would you go about it? And I think
I
that,
love that you trusted me on that, by the way.
yeah, and I put all my trust in you to come to that conclusion, and the results speak for itself. Because who knows more about videography? The expert who does this every day, or me, who's the consumer of the video. I'll watch video, but I'm not there making content. But all I can say is I know what I like and I know what I don't like. And you brought that vision of, oh yeah, you kind of figured out what I saw and what I liked
Well,
and
and you
made it
did a
real.
pretty good job of it. Like, I made the example of someone asked for a video. You didn't do that. Like, you already kind of answered all the reasons why you like what it needed to accomplish.
Yeah.
So we were starting pretty strong there, and then going through some of those ideas. And part of it for me was like, corporate videos can be a bit of a rinse and repeat, and I despise creatively to do rinse and repeat work. Like, I'm like, okay, well, how can we make this interesting? Like, and again, we leaned on the story of what would it feel like to work there? So how do you show that? Okay, well, you let people explain their life, and a huge part of that film I liked was like the mentorship side. Like, you just encompassed a lot of it, so you spoke to it. And then creatively speaking, we filmed some of the interviews in our studio versus talking head in their office or something. Which there is nothing wrong with that, but it's like, what's going to stand out? If everybody goes like, was it Seth Godin? You've probably heard of him. He wrote this book called The Purple Cow or something like that. It was like, if everybody goes one way, it doesn't mean just go the other way just because, like, you still made a video, right? You still had the events, but just make it a little bit more interesting, different. There's part of it too for us. It's like, if you make something people aren't expecting, it's just a little bit more interesting.
That's exactly it. I think we came in with hey, we don't want this to look like any of our competitors made it, or we want it to look very different, a lot more, or I guess a lot less corporate. And I think we kind of hit the nail on the head. Like, it looks professional, it looks casual, but it didn't have that stuffy feeling, which you could easily get into with other corporate type videos.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to make fun of, like, a lot of companies and organizations, they have their values on the wall.
Yeah.
Trust, courage, honesty. It's like, those aren't even values. Everybody wants to trust people, to do the right thing. But those are, in my mind, a lot of organizations have, those are virtues in my mind. And values to me are more like, oh, we value like, to value your customers. That one's important, because, like, if you don't, you will shut down pretty soon, right? Like, but I think there's an honesty. I was watching a video. It was like Costco's company values. Have you ever heard of theirs? It's like
not
like
officially,
this. It's like 4 things.
Yeah.
It's like authentically honest, and like, some people might see it as bad, but it's like, number 1, I'm gonna get the order wrong. Don't break the law. Give cheap prices. Respect our vendors. And then the last one was, the ultimate goal is to provide as much value to our shareholders, because they're publicly traded. It's like, yeah, like we're in this to make money. So it's like, and that's how they make their money, is like, good prices for the consumer. Don't break the law. Like, it's just so simple. And like, I'm like, okay, that's probably my favorite corporate. Like, I mean, they would still have values, like, but like, it's like, we're not trying to, like, at the end of the day, a business is trying to generate revenue. If you're an organization who's like a nonprofit, then you're literally trying to change lives, but usually the end goal of that is still to generate some sort of revenue. Let's say like a hospital foundation, or even a church, or something like that, or charity, whatever. Their end goal is, you know, improving people's lives. Businesses are set up to generate revenue, and they do improve people's lives if it's a good relationship, like, you know, the accounting firm, the video firm, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, the retail store. A good value exchange is like, I gave you money, you gave me a product, I feel that was a fair deal, I will come back and do this again, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I don't know how I got on that trust thing.
No, that's the trust thing is, you know, is table stakes in a lot of cases, right? Like
What do you mean what's table
it's like
stake?
the
Oh,
it's
it's expected, it's
expected. Yeah,
baseline. Yeah.
exactly. It's the baseline. But I think how they are delivered, how that can be delivered is varies quite a bit too. So
Well, yeah, and like companies, you know what's the funny, another funny story. We film a lot of industrial type projects, and we work with like, I'm not going to drop names of who did this, but like we work with like big organizations, and we film like safety videos, you know, for industry, and we're talking global companies, and then you film the safety thing, and then after you're done filming, I'm curious, so I'll be like, do they actually follow these rules? Oh no, everybody hates them. Like no, like this is like in some of them, it's like, you know, they're like, yeah, like they speak this, which I get, they need to do it because like you need to start somewhere, but it's funny. It's like the implementation of some of these is a little bit
but
pie in the sky.
I know what you're saying. Like if you're conveying one message, but you're not living it,
It's
then
incongruent,
yeah, exactly.
and people
It
see it.
becomes obvious to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's sort of another marketing challenge is that, you know, you've got to convey a certain message, but at the end of the day, you also have to ensure that that message is consistent with how people are living that in the organization on a regular basis. Like if you are saying you're trusted advisors, but the actions aren't meeting that, people figure that out pretty quickly, and then the trust factor is completely gone in that brand. So you know, there's all sorts of examples in the larger corporate world where they've suddenly taken a shift in how they approach or how they treat customers or clients or how they even treat their product. And now no longer does the value they state match what they deliver into the marketplace. And that trust starts to break down and gives opportunities even for competitors to come along and say, well, we're going to fill that gap now where you no longer meet the expectations of the customer or the client.
Do you think I would argue consumers now have pretty good like BS meters for hypocrisy?
Yeah.
Maybe because the internet, like people call people out online, and I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting. Like there's one story. It's a while ago. I think it was whoever owns Dove. I think it was Dove owns like Axe body spray, and
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
get like I mean, you probably heard the story, but like, you know, they're all about body acceptance and beauty, like natural beauty, in their branding for Dove products. And then you go to Axe body spray, and it's like, spray this stuff on you and you'll get laid,
Mm-hmm.
basically. Like, you know, dude sprays it on and he's a magnet for women. It's
Mm-hmm.
like the imagery of the video. And then I remember someone calling them out on that, and it was like, okay. I mean, I don't know if Axe is still a thing like it used to be. That was probably more like 2007 to 15 kind of consumers, but
and you know, 20 years ago that probably wouldn't have happened.
yeah, they wouldn't have got
Yeah.
called out on it.
Yeah, people may have put the two together, but there wasn't the channel or the forum to even really have an audience about what you're saying and what you're living is completely different. So, yeah, with social media, with interconnectivity of everybody these days, it's really easy for people's BS meters to go off when they see something that is just not aligning to the values
Yeah.
they adhere to.
One of our approaches when we do any like discovery or content, actually even the video with you, is like, there's the aspiration of what some organization wants to show, and then there's the reality of who they actually are. And I prefer to make anything we do it line up with like the who they actually are, because who you are is just who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And organizations are like people, so but they're not, they're still people no matter how big they are. Like
Yeah.
they're still not like, they're not something else. And so if you just show like, if you show where they win, because, and if they're people, that means they're also flawed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because humans are not perfect.
I know one of your questions was going to be about the difference on B2B and B2C marketing, and
We've totally thrown this
didn't
list
do any
out.
of the questions that we said we are going to talk about, but
I'm
that
much
was
much happier with how it's gone.
that I think if you look up the answer on like what's B2B marketing or what's the difference there, is you'll see something along the lines of, well, businesses make these logical decisions when purchasing, and they're looking at the bottom line and the finances and seeing if it fits, these criteria. And a consumer is going to be a little bit more emotional based, or spur of the moment. You could have an impulse buy. There's these stark differences, but I think that is not accurate at all. I think people forget that behind a business, there's a bunch of people, and they're making decisions, sometimes based on what helps them in their specific role. So is this going to make my life easier personally for how I operate? And people still do make emotional based decisions in a corporate environment. And you can see that every day with how buying groups operate within an organization. So I think it's not accurate that it's only a logical decision when it's a business-based consumer, and it can be an emotional-based decision with a regular consumer. You'll see a lot of bleed of that emotional aspect and that trust factor into the business side for sure. So yeah, I think that gets forgotten a lot, is people just forget that businesses are a bunch of people making decisions that they would normally, the same decision-making process. Now, they might be doing within a specific model or framework, but at the end of the day, they can be influenced as well as any regular consumer can.
I like that. I was just looking at the question that I wrote there, which I could, like, you work. How do you think B2B audiences make decisions differently than consumer audiences? I'm like, yeah.
So you might find that when you're approaching your own other corporate work versus someone booking their wedding,
Yeah, well, but like at the end of the day, like, especially like actually in branding and marketing is still a very emotional thing for a lot of, especially like entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
like especially the smaller business, because it's such like a who they are piece.
Mm-hmm.
It's a self-expression thing, and so it's very emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And like we did some work for a company or a psychology, I don't know if you can call them a firm, clinic, I guess. These doctors, great clients, and she said they're super busy, and I was like, okay, so why is this because we're making stuff for their website, and I was like, why is this so important for you then? And she was like, we want it to look, I want it to look good. And I was like, that's good enough reason to do something, because like at the end of the day, we're just humans expressing our values, living our values. And I was like, yeah, I can work within that. So then it should, if you want it to represent you, like, and even a corporate office, like you do a renovation, like if like how many companies have done like you've done this for a while, like you've seen
Mm-hmm.
probably some of your clients like do renos, or even law firms doing law firms. I mean, actually, for example, anyone who moved into the new Nutrient Tower, or is the one beside it called RBC Tower?
Yeah,
Maybe.
something like that. Yeah.
Now they've built out these new spaces. They moved out of, let's say, Saskatoon Square, or what's the other one? Scotia Center. Yeah, like I think
Yeah.
Nutrien moved. It's
Yeah.
like they're why even put your name on the building? It's like all these things.
Well, you'd save a bunch of money if you just had an industrial space, cheap IKEA desks everywhere, and you know, no art on the wall, and yeah, kept the lights dim. Sure,
And
save a
even
ton of money. But
and maybe even for like Saskatoon, like where they're talking, they're building a new library, they're building a new uh or I don't know if it's on the table still or not, but the new hockey arena. It's like the decision makers are like those things lack logic, right? Like they have to have marketing campaigns I shouldn't say they lack logic. They definitely have it, but there's studies that show like both sides. Like, I mean, does this improve business? It's like, yeah, we should definitely have a hockey arena, but like a nice one downtown. And it's always compared to the way they did the Rexall Center to the new Rogers Center in Edmonton.
yeah,
It's like, yeah, like I get it. Like have a city that's prideful. Like the Ramey Modern is a great example. Like, did we need a new art gallery? Could be argued either way. And I think if it's logical, yeah. No, it's not cheap. Yes, it costs people more money, but it's like, okay, does it make our quality of life better?
yeah. Like we're getting all into civics and civic branding and things like that. There's a whole other kettle of fish there. But yeah, there's always going to be an argument that yeah, you can do something cheap and basic, or you can do something elaborate. And there's going to be people who argue on both sides of the coin that say, oh, we don't need it, we do need it. And both have a strong argument as to, okay, this is the right thing to do. So at the end of the day, you got to say like, well, what's the value we're trying to adhere to, and what's the end result we want to get? Because depending on what you want, that's the approach you're going to take, right? So,
But you have these people who champion these ideas,
mhm.
and I'm not saying I'm for or against any of them. Like I kind of like them. I mean, I'm for them because it provides. Usually, I get like people hire us to do some sort of content for these new things, but it's also like I like being proud of my city, and it's like I'm glad that people. It's like actually kids might be the best example. Like having kids logically is kind of dumb, right? Like they're so expensive. They, I don't know if your wife works or not, but like my wife, when we had the kids, at least was like, she was part-time for years. And plus the 3 maternity leaves, those are
Yeah.
12 months of basically no income. And a huge income drop as you're getting these demands on you. And it's like, but they're great for you. They're great for humanity. I mean, humanity don't exist because of kids. And I love my kids, but it's like, if you're going to treat anything with logic, which we're all human. So it's like, I don't know. So that's our market. That's what I think I love about marketing. It's like you don't have to rationalize everything all the way. You can just say, I want it.
That's very true. We operate in a world now where all the decisions we're trying to make data driven decisions in marketing, and the data says this, or we can make this decision to employ this tactic, and we're going to measure those results, and the revenue driven from that is going to be X dollars, and we can say, yeah, that was a great success. And sometimes you're like, well, all that logic kind of goes out the window because I have a gut feeling about something, that this is the right way to go about it, or this is going to be the right thing to do. And it might be really difficult to measure the end value quantitatively. But I think when you look at it in a larger 30,000 foot view, you just kind of know that that was the right move. And that's something that's kind of difficult for people, is to align that within a corporate structure of, yeah, you need to prove results, or you need to say, here's why we're doing something, is because, especially in my particular industry, people work with spreadsheets and numbers all day. That's the world they know. And when you come at them with like, well, here's a very, very emotional based project or decision here. Here's how we're going to go about it. I just have a good feeling this is maybe the way to do it. It's hard to.
That's the gift of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
very emotional,
Yes, and
which
that's
I think
great.
is part of the success, right? Like,
Hmm.
yeah, I like that philosophical side of humanity. And at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know, just take some risks. Like, you buy the clothes you like because of certain reasons, whether you know them or not, doesn't matter, but you still make choices
Yeah.
based on feeling. And, um, I'm not technically an entrepreneur. I like have to be an entrepreneur because I want to do this as a job. And there's not a lot of, I don't know who's hiring a photographer beside, like I have three employees, and it's like, yeah, there's a few jobs, but it's like, it's not like it's not a line item, like
Yeah.
marketing coordinator, like that one, that's a line item I see a lot,
Hmm.
in a lot of the job descriptions of people I work with. But yeah, it's funny. Yeah, well, we totally threw these questions out, and I'm so happy we did. This was much more fun. Thank you for being here.
Awesome.
I had two more little things to go over. These are just sort of fun questions I ask everybody. But first one is, what's in the drafts? Is there any idea, opinion, project you've been thinking about? This could be personally, work related, something that just motivates you. Heck, it could be planning a marathon to run personally or whatever.
We're doing a lot these days with what I would call like client experience, or the marketing is really getting our team connecting with our clients in some situations that aren't always about work. They're outside of work, to build relationships. And we've been doing a few things over the years. I've put on some small golf events. We had a concert last month now with
A private one?
yeah.
Very cool.
So things like
Who was,
that.
can you say who the artist was?
Cody Prevo. We
Okay,
had.
yeah.
So, yeah, just some small things like that. So, um, those types of events are great for building relationships and kind of that affinity for the brand and that client connection. But on a side to that, we do a lot of charitable work as well. We do a lot of donations. We have a lot of giving back in the community that MNP likes to contribute to, and kind of lives as part of the values. So we've got a national sponsorship or partnership with Special Olympics Canada now, corporately. So we're trying to think of some ways to, how do we kind of align some sport in the city with some fundraising and some corporate networking at the same time. So we kicked around the idea of, maybe we want to do a little corporate pickleball challenge. I think pickleball's trending these days.
It
And,
is.
we
Do
talked
you
about
play?
that. I just started the other
Okay,
day,
so you
actually.
must be 40 plus. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I am. So
So I turn 40 in May next year. So
you'll get your paddle in the mail.
yeah, that's what I asked my wife for Christmas.
So
We're gonna go, instead of going on a fun trip, we're gonna go down to Phoenix and play pickleball.
Absolutely, yeah. You got to join the club. So that's something we are talking about, being as a fun way to connect clients, get them. We had this discussion in the office the other day, is like, when you are outside of work, but you're in a competitive environment with a client, like if you were together golfing together against another person, or if you're teaming up for something, that builds a strong relationship. So if you do that on a regular basis with a bunch of different clients, that's a great way to build that strong foundation, because that being competitive together with the right person really is something unique. So yeah, we're going to try to make that happen.
I should research the psychology on that. And you're having people on teams, but also against their clients. Like, I guess golfing, you're trying to kick their butt.
Well, I think that's also too. We've had some fun golf days. Like, let's go out and have fun. And someone said, "Well, that's great and all, but what if we had a really serious competitive golf tournament where you just invite your client, your best golfing clients, and you go out and you try to beat everyone else, the other clients." There's a certain demographic that would be really into that.
That's fun.
So that's another thing we might be putting out into our world soon.
I like it. You already kind of answered the last one. I'm going to skip it for you. So anyway, I'm really happy you came and agreed to be on the show.
Thanks, Matt. It's fun.
That was really great. You bring a grounded and thoughtful approach to marketing. I like that you shared. I wasn't going to bring up some of the stories you shared, so I'm glad you did, because some of the stories they're not my stories to share necessarily. So I mean, I actually think about the one that video we worked on together has actually stuck in my mind a lot, because for us, you know, we don't always know exactly what's going to work. So
Yeah.
we're still guessing at things, just because this realm of marketing it's always changing. You know, you hit home runs sometimes you just get to second base or first base, and it's just how it goes. And I mean, that one I think is a home run, but yeah, so that's really cool. It's been fun working with you as well. So if anyone wants to connect with Kevin, you can learn about him on LinkedIn.
Find me on LinkedIn, sure. For sure.
And then he works at MNP as well. So thanks again.
Thanks, Matt.